So we've done step 11, NTIA must review and approve challenge results and final map. We've lost 9 of the applicants at that point. Step 12, states must run a competitive sub-granting process.
Oh my God. At step 12, after all this has been done.
Yeah, none of that could have.
In this video, we're going to react to Jon Stewart. Yes, the same Jon Stewart who is the ultra-liberal TDS of the Year award candidate. Yes, so this video is interesting because what we're seeing is as people on the left are being exposed more and more to truth and removing the filter of their own blindness and own bias towards Trump and Republicans in general, and looking at things for change and doing podcasts and bringing in people who have common sense. We're seeing it with Gavin Newsom. We're seeing it, now I'm assuming with Jon Stewart, and we're also going to react to Bill Maher, who is actually going to the White House, and he has a reaction to that with Chris Cuomo. We're going to react to that as well. But first, we're going to look at this video here. It's fascinating. As you can see it behind me, we're going to do it with audio here in a second. Jon Stewart is reacting crazily when he finds out the process that you have to go through. It's actually like 14 steps to apply for the Build Back Better funding under Joe Biden. This is Joe Biden's actual procedure, his administration for getting back, I guess, funding for the Build Back Better program. So I'm gonna leave it there. I don't want to spoil anything else. We're gonna react to this right now. Check it out.
We have to issue the notice of funding opportunity within 180 days. That's step 1. Step 2, which all 56 state applicants completed, is states who want to participate must submit a letter of intent. After they do that, they can submit a request for up to $5 million in planning grants. Then the NTIA, step 4, has to review and approve and award, again, planning grants, not broadband grants.
Planning grants. Have you ever even heard of a planning grant? Planning grant. So you have, well, let's just keep going.
Planning grants.
And it's still at the NTIA. It's still at the first step.
All right, so the NTIA must issue a NOFO within 180 days. States who want to participate must submit their letter of intent. Step 3, they can request up to $5 million in planning grants.
Just planning.
Just planning. Step 4, the requests are reviewed, approved, and awarded by the NTIA, which currently all 56, 3 years later, all 56 applicants had passed through at least step 5.
Hey, just getting through step 5 is like, yeah, good job. It gets way worse, guys.
It took more than 3 years. So it's a long time. States must submit a 5-year action plan. So the states kind of go back and they kind of think about how they're going to do this.
That's the face of a guy getting red-pilled. That's the face of a guy getting red-pilled in actual real time.
And they don't just say, okay, thank you for the money. We're going to spend it and you can see how it worked out later. We're like, here's our 5-year action plan. Then the FCC must publish the broadband data maps before NTIA allocates funds. So having done the NOFO, the letters of intent, the request for planning grants, then the review, approval, and awarding of the planning grants, then the 5-year action plans. In between that, the federal government has to put forward a map saying where it thinks we need rural broadband subsidies.
Where it thinks we need. Now, isn't that subjective? I mean, I guarantee you there is there probably is manuals and procedures to back up every one of these phases, which of course would have to be overseen by a actual person who has to be on the payroll. And I can almost imagine that person is going to be dedicated to that process. And that's probably all they do. And, the lack of efficiency is incredible. But again, we're not even a third of the way through.
And then, of course, the states need an opportunity to challenge the map for accuracy. And you can imagine this doesn't all happen in like a day. Okay. So then the NTIA, step 7, has to use the FCC maps to make allocation decisions. Then, having already done their letter of intent, their request for planning grants, it's hard even to talk about this, man. Step 7 is NTIA must use the FCC maps that were already challenged for allocation decisions. Then, having submitted all this, I think this one is actually quite amazing.
Yeah.
Having submitted their 5-year plans or letters of intent, step 8 is states must submit an initial proposal to the NTIA.
What step are we on? Step 8, and we're already doing an initial proposal?
Then,
Is that the result of their $5 million planning fund? This
I
initial
assume,
proposal?
but then what was the 5-year plan?
And what the fuck did they apply for? What was their NOFO?
Like, if the 5-year action plan isn't the initial proposal, then what's the 5-year action
Forget
plan?
NOFO.
Okay.
MOFO.
Step 9, NTIA must review and approve each state's, again, initial proposal. By my read, we have had at least 2 initial proposals here, but that's a different issue.
Oh my God.
Step 10, states must publish their own map and allow internal challenges to their own map. So the government has published a map. They have invited the states to challenge the map. Then states have submitted initial proposals, and they then have to publish their own map and allow challenges.
Wait, who's challenging it within the state?
Well, organized interest groups, environmental groups, like I don't know
my
who
God.
specifically, but literally anybody.
I mean, are you following this? Because I'm not following this. All I'm hearing are words. And I know I worked in D.C. for several years, and I know the bureaucracy way back then was bad. I can only imagine how bad it is now. I just can't imagine. Well, I guess I can now imagine after hearing this.
This is,
Right.
I want to say something because it's very important I say this. This is the Biden administration's process for its own bill. They wanted this to happen. This is how liberal government works now.
This is something they instituted for this bill.
For their bill. This is a bill.
All right, let's stop here because I had to watch this twice to understand what the heck he was talking about. So this Build Back Better bill, whatever that was for, inside this bill, these are the procedures in which you can get money appropriated to your cause or whatever you're looking for. So this was by design. This was obviously not common sense. It was just a serious runaround to get anything done. And what I think it comes down to is that the Democrats, liberals, leftists, Marxists, whatever you want to call them, are all over the place. They don't want to offend any one person, or they want to make sure that everything is accounted for so that no one's offended, or that they make sure that all the groups are in play, or worse, maybe to make sure that there's enough palms to grease along the process, and maybe it's both.
Oh,
Passed
wow.
by Democrats with a regulatory structure written by Democratic administration. Okay.
Right.
Step 11. The NTIA must review and improve the challenge results and the final map. So the NTIA has put forward a map. The states have challenged that map. Then the states have put forward their maps, had other challenges. And now the NTIA must review and approve the challenges to the state maps. Okay. So we've done step 11. NTIA must review and approve challenge results and final map. We've lost 9 of the applicants at that point. Step 12. States must run a competitive sub-granting process.
Oh my God. At step 12, after all this has been done.
Yeah, none of that could have happened.
He has quite the potty mouth, so we had to bleep that part of it out. But I mean, his reaction is very, very visceral and I think genuine. I mean, he's a smart dude. I mean, he doesn't get where he is being a complete idiot. And I think when they're forced to actually look at facts and there doesn't have to be some sort of political angle at it directly, or you're trying to appease your producers or your writers or your audience for that matter, you're looking for a gag because Trump is easy, because Orange Man bad, all that stuff, ha ha he he. But when it comes down to it, when it comes down to actual policies, this here is actual policies. And this is what I was saying before. This is why the ideologues are no longer in play because, at least on the left that is, because their policies are garbage. They can't defend it. So how do you defend this? The only way you can defend this is not talk about it. Keep people like Jon Stewart in the dark. That's the only way. And anyone who challenges this, call them a phobe or an ite or something, get them off the trail. And if that doesn't work, then you dox them or you cancel them, find something else about them, change the subject, change the narrative, play victim, something, anything to prevent them from actually going down to the brass tacks of the fact that this Build Back Better bill and others like it are complete and utter garbage.
Along the way here, we have now lost 17 more applicants. So now 30 of 56 have completed step 12.
To his face.
Step 13, states must submit a final proposal. This all the proposals weren't enough to NTIA. Now that goes to 3 of 56. So we've gone in the last couple steps from 56 had gone to this point to 3 of 56. Step 14, the NTIA must review and approve the state's final proposal. And that is 3 of the 56 jurisdictions and states are there. In summary, states are nearly at the finish line. And it says to stop their progress now, or worse, to make them go backwards, would be a stick in the spokes of the most promising broadband deployment plans we have ever seen.
Wow.
End scene.
Sweet.
I'm speechless, Ezra. Honestly, like, it's far worse than I could have imagined. But the fact that they amputated their own legs on this is what's so stunning.
Elon Musk reposted that. And I'm going to go through some reactions here that are on X. Chicks on the right said this, and I reposted this. Imagine being the two clowns in this video and continuing to support Democrats. That's neat that they're all outraged at what conservatives have been complaining about for decades. It's super swell that they now openly exposing the reason Doge exists. Are they in support of Doge's efforts, though? Will they change their votes? Nope. And that's why they're clowns. Well, I'll give them a little bit more leeway there, a little bit more grace, because give them some time. Give Jon Stewart some time. Give him a couple years, maybe. Who knows? But I'll take whatever we can get. Even Gavin Newsom, as slimy as he is, having Bannon on, having Charlie Kirk on, I mean, bravo to him. Bravo to him. And I even gave credit to AOC for debating Ted Cruz, or even Shank for debating Ben Shapiro. I don't like either one of those people in terms of what they believe. But just putting the ideas out there is brave. And the left, the far left, really doesn't want that. They don't want open and honest and fair dialogue. They don't want that because, again, their ideas are garbage and they can't be defended by reasonable, rational people. This is Bill Maher. He's talking to Chris Cuomo about him going to the White House. And if you don't know, Bill Maher is a big leftist. He hates Trump and all this. But I really appreciate his response here. We're going to play it right here.
You're going to meet with the president.
I am?
So Kid Rock makes it happen. What do you think has been the response so far? What do you think it will be, and why are you doing it? Which I'm totally for, by the way, and I love it.
I get it. Well, I'm doing it because, first of all, it was presented as
a dare.
not a dare. No, just like, maybe this is a beginning to heal America. Now, I don't have some sort of complex where I think I can heal America. I can't. Okay, let's get that clear. I'm not going to be healing America. But if two guys who've been at each other for so long, I mean, it's kind of a Nixon to China thing. I have the credentials. There was nobody who was harder on Trump or more prescient about the fact that he wasn't going to leave office voluntarily than I was. I feel like I have the credentials. But they also respect me because I'm honest about the woke train to crazy town.
I would give him that.
And I don't shrink.
I would give him that. Definitely opposed to about 90% of the things he says. But every now and then, and recently a lot more than that, I've been agreeing with him a lot more because, I mean, he's not a dumb person either. He doesn't like or doesn't acknowledge the existence of a higher power, God, for that matter. He's pretty antagonistic towards Christians in general, but he does bring home good points. And again, I think this particular clip here makes me want to, well, I'm going to go too far. We'll see what happens after the visit. I'll hold my comments until then.
From that, and I've also lost a lot of fans for that. The woke people have left the building, and I'm willing to make that sacrifice. But it does give you a certain credibility. So I just think to meet somebody, first of all, it's an honor to be invited to the White House.
Yes, it is.
And I've already had a couple of people who I said to them, you know, I'm just going to take it as a backhanded compliment that you glide right past the idea that little Bill Maher from Rivervale, New Jersey, just a humble kid from the suburbs, was invited for a private dinner to the White House. You glide right past that to how dare you talk to him, and that you're not impressed by it at all. I'm impressed by it a lot. I'm impressed the fuck out of it. I get to go to the White House, and yes, that is the structure of this dinner, is just let's talk. Let's talk to each other face to face. Let's not stop shouting from 3,000 miles away, you know? So if they expect me to be leaving in a MAGA hat, they're going to be very disappointed, but I know they don't. And I think it's going to be, look, it probably will accomplish very little, but you got to try, man. You got to try.
And see, that's just pretty much what the left does not want. The left does not want this kind of interaction with the right, with conservatives. They just do not. That's something that they are just 100% opposed to. And, kudos to him. Kudos to Chris Cuomo. I know they're not, right now, I think pretty much Chris Cuomo is probably just grifting. I know Gavin Newsom is grifting. They understand what's going on. They understand the temperature in the room. They understand where the country is headed. They looked at the numbers of young men under 35 who are white, black, Hispanic, who are working class people. They understand that 80% of people don't want men in women's locker rooms. They understand that most Americans want safe borders and a closed border that's fair and bringing people in on a merit-based system. All of those things, they understand this. But the problem is the people who are on the left, who have worked for decades to get where they are, to hijack an administration, to push forth agendas that obviously do not work, blew up spectacularly, but yet don't want to give up that and concede anything because they feel they will be in a marginalized position for the foreseeable future. That's what we're looking at. That's why the Democrat Party is having a huge issue, which is why we're seeing sectionalism in the party right now, where an impending split is only a matter of time. What are your thoughts on that? Let me know your comments on this on the Bill Maher interview or the first one that we saw with Jon Stewart. Let me know what you think about that. And what do you think the Democrats are doing? Do you think this is part of an orchestrated plan to kind of move to the center? Or is this something that's just happening as, let's say, organic in terms of it just happening naturally based on what they're seeing in terms of numbers and the culture? Let me know in the comments below. I'd be curious to know what you think. And until then, like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.